To access your document, you start from the home page, then you go in the login menu and you click on Corpus. This brings you to this page when you have your left columns with all the section corresponding to the different team members. So I'm going to click on my one, but of course you are going to click on the tab with your name. And here I have the list of my document that I can filter. I already opened a bunch of them, so let's start with this to present. This is the main page that you get when you open a document. As you see, the document presents a series of elements and metadata. So it starts with the title here and the URI. This is very important because the URI identifies uniquely this document. So this is what you need to copy and paste, for example, or you find it here in the address menu. But if you want to do a reference to a document, for example, when you would want to report a bug or mention that into a mail to us, please make reference to this URI. Then you will see here a small navigation. There are different tabs for the document. The document overview is the main one. Then we will see the other text annotation, atlas, and XML file. So the document overview presents the main elements of the document. So we have the title that, as usual, gives an impression also of the monument, the nature of the monument. It's a funerary base of the Procurator Sextus Pacuvius Restitutus. Then you get the document type, the main language, the editions. We have two editions, like in the Inschriften von Prosa ad Olympum and in the CIL. The datation consists in three elements. A datation that I'd say the natural language, where we describe really uh, with a simple sentence what the datation is. Here it's under Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus, or under Septimius Severus and Caracalla, because here actually we have an inscription with two emperors, so it's actually must date to a period where two emperors were, of course, in charge. And then you have two numeric values that are the lower and the upper limit of these datation. They translate in numerical values the natural language datation that you put here in this field. Then you have here two sections with the places that are linked to the document and the people linked to the document. Here there are external resources. Here we don't have the Trismegistus URI, or it was not entered, but this is a PHI inscription that are not listed in Trismegistus. Then you have another bibliography section when you can add general bibliography, so everything that is different from editions. Then a keyword section. Here it's something that is related, keywords are related to the content of the document. And this is a funerary monument, and it speaks about gladiators because the Pacuvius Restitutus has been procurator ad familias gladiatorias. The last two fields are a general commentary. A general commentary is the commentary that will be visible to third parties. So actually, it's the official commentary that you want to put about the document if needed. The private commentary is more a space to store your private notes and remarks about the document and memos to yourself, like we need here to do something more, or check datation, check the provenance. Here on the right, you have the text preview that is generated directly from the Epidoc, and you see that you have, of course, the text in the standard editorial transcription, and then you have highlighted the terms that the section we tagged. Actually, they are the two persons that are present here. So the Sextus Pacuvius Restitutus and the honorand here, the one that set up the document, it's a Seleucus, and we don't know much more about him. You can get rid of this if you want to mask this highlighting. You just have to click here, and so it disappears, and then here it appears again. It's also handy the fact that if you click on this icon, you can see the record for Sectus Paciovius Restitutus. So actually from the text you can jump to the page of the person. So the text annotation is where text annotation section is where you work with the epidoc, with the text. It's made um, by made of three different sections. You have the main window here. It's an XML editor, so you have here the XML text that you can edit, and then you will see immediately the preview here that can change if you add or eliminate something or if you change something. And here you have a series of elements that you can tag that actually are the places and the person that are already attached to the document, and this can be used to tag the elements in the text. So the atlas section is where you see the places that are linked to this document, and you can add and eliminate places. Here, the XML file, you will see the entire structure, XML structure of the document. So you can also modify this, but I suggest you not to do if you are not sure of what you are really doing. But here you find all the elements that are translated in an interface in the other parts. So let's see how we create a document. Let's take these examples. This is an inscription here, a boundary stone found in Phrygia, and it's on PHI. So actually, how to create a text, a document in our database starting from this inscription. In order to create a document, you start from your tab here. So actually, this is the section corpus from the login menu, and you hit new document. So you are here prompted um, a dialog window in which you can start inserting some basic elements for the creation of the document. So actually, first um, you have to give a title. In this case, it's a boundary stone set up by the procurator Irenaeus. So I'm writing this. So actually, always try to give an impression of the nature of the document, of the monument in the title. So saying either funerary base, funerary monument, or sarcophagus for if it's a funerary monument, or um, like I don't know, decree or stele or statue base. So actually try to give a hint to the actual form and nature of the inscribed the epigraphic monument. Here it's a boundary stone, so we are going to write set up. So here then after you write the title, select a type for the document. So here this is an epigraphic source, so of course you can have juridical, literary, and papyrological sources as well. So I'm going to choose epigraphic, then select the language. Here the inscription is in Latin. So I select Latin, and the script, this is Latin. Hmm? So this is something that is required by the epidoc template. So the fact that we have to select a language is not very very useful when you have bilingual inscriptions, because you can't really choose two different languages um, as a language of the document, because the epidoc prefers to indicate for each section what language is that written it. In the end, when you have bilingual documents, just choose the language that comes first, or just give the language that is used for the most part of the text. Anyway, it's not something that it's very important if it's not really correct at 100%. Now here you have to fill in the external resource. Um, Here's written optional, but it's in fact mandatory, because we have to choose between ID and URI. What is an ID? ID is when you do not have an internet address, starting with HTTPS and so on, but you just have the ID number for the inscription. This is, for example, for CloudSlabby or for EDR or other um, repositories that do not have a unique identifier as an internet address. In this case, we are working with PHI, with a PHI inscription. So PHI does have a URI. So I click on URI. In subtype, you have to actually choose the repository. Here is PHI Greek inscription. You have the other, you see, and then here you have to put the value. So in this case, I'm going to use this. I don't actually, it's better to copy that here. And then I just paste, and then I can create the document. Just click once on this button. It takes a while, so if you click more than once, it's going to create 2 or 3 documents. So you just click once and you wait that the document gets created. So it opens a new window. So you might have to habilitate pop-ups. It charges the page and the thesaurus and everything. And here we are. We have the basis for our document. So when you get um, this window, you can just start filling the other elements. So let's start with the edition. We have seen here that this is CIL 312 237. How do we add an edition? Um, we click on the plus, and then we get this dialog. And here we are searching our Zotero group. Zotero group already contains a lot of corpora. So normally I can just, for the corpus inscriptum latinarum, I can just start typing. And it appears here. So I select it. You see here uh, this identifier appears, so it means that the bibliography reference has been correctly taken. Then I write 3 space and then 12 237. And I do click on add reference. The reference is added. So the datation here, this Irenaeus is under Hadrian. Here is not dated, but Irenaeus was operating around 125, so I'm gonna just write around 125 AD. So I validate here. So see, if you want to edit any textual field, you have to click this button. So I click here. What does it mean around 125? I can just have 1 year before and 1 year later. So actually I write here 124. I validate, and 126, and I click on validate. You always have to validate. It's not like the FileMaker database where the every data you insert is automatically saved. Here you always have to validate. Now, before like linking places and people, I would like here to add a general bibliography, for example. We have seen that here it's mentioned in Ramsey, cities and bishoprics. So actually, I'm gonna add this one. So I click on the plus in general bibliography. You get the same, exactly same dialog that you got for the edition. So you can start here to enter the name Ramsey, and I get here what I have. So actually, Ramsey, there's no, the title I search is not yet in the group, so I have to add it now. So I'm gonna click cancel here, and I'm going to go to Zotero. Hmm. So actually, it means that that the title I was searching for is not in our Patrimonium group, so I have to add it. How do I add it? There are different ways. Now I just show this one. I will speak about adding bibliography in another video. Anyway, this is in the Zotero app, our entire group. And I can search here. I can see that actually the title I was searching for is really not present, so I went to add it. It's in my personal library, so I'm gonna go here, search from Ramsey, the cities and bishoprics in Phrygia. So here it is. So I just take it like, and I can just like uh, put it in the um, general bibliography folder of our Patrimonium group. So it's added. So if I go here and I search, right, you'll see that it's here. Okay, very well. So let's see. Let's go back to our document and then add bibliography. Mm, I search Ramsey again, and it's not yet present, but I may perhaps wait. Here it is. So it takes a little bit to synchronize, but I can click it, and the reference is page 756, number 693. So I just 756, number 693, and then I click add reference. And here it is with this format with author name, page number, and number of the inscription. So this is a boundary um, settings, so the boundary stone. So actually I may add a keyword. So to add a keyword, as I told you, keywords should be relative to the content of the document. So actually, this document presents a Imperial Freedman and two probably rural communities, and then it's a boundary stone. So actually, I don't have to tag boundary stone because it's more the nature of the document, but I'm going um, to say that this document concerns boundary settings. So how to add a keyword? So you can first like click this menu, this button, or you get a menu where you have all the different um, themes, a bit like subject of our thesaurus. So actually, boundary settings it's about um, it's in it's here in Roman law. I can click this and then add, validate. It takes a while, so do not be scared if it's like it doesn't immediately set the keyword. Another thing that we can add is rural communities. Either so you search here again, or you can just type here So rural community. So here we are. So this box searches in thesaurus. So actually the idea is that if you still do not know the terms and the categories of our thesaurus, it's better that you have a look here and you see what's going on, what kind of themes can be, of subject can be tagged. You can propose to add new categories, um, and so this is very good for a first approach. Then, if you already know some kind of keywords that you may want to add, it's perhaps easier just to search for them in the box. Then, okay, I validate. Hmm, Again, it takes a few seconds, but it's actually validated and should appear. Yeah, voilà, it has appeared now. So actually, we have we have really completed most of the thing. Now it's perhaps time to add the text. So to add the text, I go on this tab, text annotation, and how do I do it? How do I do it? So it's not here. So here you do not have to copy and paste your text here, but you have to go here. You have to click on text converter. And then you are prompted with this dialog in which you are invited to paste your text here below. So actually what's needed to do, but I copy this text. So I do Command C on Apple, on a Mac, or Control C on a PC. Then I click here and I do Control V or Command V to paste. And as you see here, the text is immediately converted in Epidoc. You can edit already here. For example, PHI includes some strange symbols, like this is just an indication of the fact that there is an illegible character, that it should be um, translated with a plus. Okay, here. Okay, then it seems I can just get rid also of this. Oh, sorry, because there is. Okay, but you can also edit your text later. So I click OK, and the text is actually translated. So when you add a text or modify a text, it's not automatically saved. So you have to click here. So actually you are warned here that the text has been modified, and then so you need to click this button, that is the save button, to register it. Okay, so now we have the text. Then we can go back to the document overview, and you see the text appears here. So actually here you see that everything is a bit gray, so but nothing strange happened. It's just a little glitch, but everything works fine. Now it's time to add the provenance of this document. So we go here in the Atlas tab, and here we can add the place. For this example, all places and persons that will be linked to this document are already created, so I just need to search for them. So actually, you need to enter already the places, to create the places of the person if they are not already present, in order to add them. Because here, this box where you can search for the places, or searches in the project places, so for places that are already created. So the idea is that it's better that before linking everything to your document, you already create all the elements and then you do the linking. So actually the place where this document comes from is called König. It's a Turkish village. So actually, I'm going to write, no, sorry, and it appears here. As you see, this particular place is written with a strange symbol. It's this I without the dot, that it's pronounced in Turkish. So you need to pay attention because some of these particular character are not converted into the simpler ones. So it means that if you write kinik with the eyes, um, you don't get any result. Mm. But so actually, accented letters in French um, are found even if you write a non-accented letter, but for other languages it doesn't work, so we need to map all the character and make equivalents to their simpler version in the Latin alphabet. So actually, if you don't find anything, sometimes it can be due to the fact that you did not put the right special character in them. So actually, for Kinnick, I have to use this, yeah, and then I can find it again. So when you select the right place, the map center around the place, then so you see that here the system informs you that the place has been correctly registered. Then you have to select the type of relation between the place and your document. So in this case, it is provenance. But have you seen, there are many different ways that we can in which we can describe the relation between a place and a document. For example, so provenance, it's the easier one. It identifies the place where the inscription comes from. We're going to speak about provenance a bit better, uh, but normally it's the place where the the inscription stood in antiquity, if it's known. Destination uh, is a place that, for example, when we find a letter, an epigraphic or in a papyrological source, and we know the destination is written in the document, or we can reconstruct it clearly from the context. You can add a place and call it destination. A mentioned in text, it's a place that is just mentioned in text, but it's not um, any of the other um, places here. So actually, origin is for a place where the support of the inscription comes. Here you see origin object only. For example, if I have a marble block, an inscribed marble block, and I know that this marble block comes from a particular quarry, I can uh, put the place, the quarry, actually as a origin for the object, because perhaps the object has been found elsewhere, but I can reconstruct that the origin of the block is in a particular quarry. Place of writing, content only. This is also very useful if we have epigraphic attestation of imperial letters, for example, or other forms of communication. Um, because if we know that the letter was written, I don't know, in Rome, and then sent to a place, and in this place the letter is inscribed, then Rome is anyway the place of writing of the content. And here, place of writing and origin, if we actually uh, can determine that an object has been created, actually the support comes from a particular place, and also in that place the support was inscribed. So mentioning text is more for everything that is mentioned, but it's not, but cannot be qualified with any of these other of these other ways. Related, this is for the production unit particularly, and we will see how it works later. But it indicates anyway that this document, even if it does not mention a particular place, actually this document proves the existence or has to be linked to that particular place or that particular production unit, especially. Okay, so for now, we're gonna select provenance for König because it's the place where this object has been found, and then I can click on Add Place to Document, and the place is added and is present here, and present again here in our document overview. So, but here there is not just one place that is present. So actually König is the provenance, but on this text we have two different toponyms. They are fragmentary, but it's the Sibidind something and the E something or Kenos. These are two communities between which, like, the procurator set a boundary. So actually, these two places are present and are mentioned in text. So I'm going to go again on Atlas and add CBD, select not provenance but mentioned in text, because they are not a destination, they are not the origin, they are not the place of writing, they are not the place of writing origin, because we actually don't know anything about the place of writing and the origin of the object. So actually, we're just gonna select this generic mentioned in text, and I add place to document. Now we can add the second community. So here it's a fragmentary name. So actually, you can actually write even, you see the latter part of the document is found. So I click here, I say mentioned in text. Okay, it's already selected, and I can add the place to the document. Okay, now there is another place that we have to add, because actually this inscription, as you can see here, is set up by Friedman, a Friedman procurator. It's the procurator of Phrygia, and from a juridical point of view, this is pretty clear. Normally, a procurator of this level, so a Friedman procurator, can only set boundaries of communities that are on imperial estates, because he has no jurisdiction to do, for example, to set up a boundary between two cities, because those are actually self-governed bodies, and a dispute between two cities can only be regulated by a proconsul. So the fact that a Friedman procurator is acting here, this means that these two communities were on an imperial estate. Therefore, this inscription indicates, so it's a proof of the existence of an imperial estate, of which we know nothing, of course, but we know that it existed. So actually, I have already created an entity that is called Imperial Estate near König, and I can add that here as a related place. So if I search again König, I see that there is this Imperial Estate near König. This is not mentioned in text because it's not mentioned, but is related to this document, because this document is the proof of the existence of this estate. Therefore, I add the place to the document. This is very important because it's a very important aspect of our project, that since the evidence for imperial estates is mostly indirect, these kind of documents are very often found. So we need to uh, create these production units, these imperial estates, as places because they did exist. But of course, we cannot know exactly of what they consisted or exactly their extension. But we know for sure that these two communities were part of the imperial estate, and that this document is related to this imperial estate. So have you seen one document has, in this example, one document has four different links with places, but with different qualities. So you have the actual provenance, then you have the communities that are mentioned in it, and then you have this imperial estate, you have the production unit related to the document, and that is also conjectured on a very solid basis. So actually, I would say that it's an inference, but it's a very simple one and correct one that we can do. So actually, we um, make explicit the fact that this document is the basis on which we postulate the existence of this imperial state. Uh, Okay, so if I go back to the document overview, I see that the four places are here. So to finally terminate this linking, I can just link the person that is acting here, that it's Irenaeus. Where can I add person? But here, directly here from the document overview, there is a plus person button, so you can click on it and search for the name. And you get a Irenaeus. This is number 16, because I know that. Okay, and then you validate. Any case, when you have more than, so we can have homonyms in this case. I can just show you again. When you have homonyms, you always need to make sure that this is the ID number, and it's here also in this parenthesis. Uh, of course, that you select the right one. So I click cancel because already added, and so here we are. So actually, here all the metadata is completed. So the last thing we have to do is just to tag the different elements in the text. So in order to tag, I go on the text annotation tab, and as you see here, all the elements that we added, that we linked to the text are present. Here they are transformed in buttons. Here also people. Here do not pay attention to all these other elements because they are there because of the general purpose of this editor, but we are not using them because we just tag persons and place. We do not tag the elements of the onomastics. We don't tag the functions, but they are just there because this instrument, this editor allows you to do so. Also, this subject indexing, please ignore that because it's also something that we do not have to use. So you have to concentrate on these two elements, so the places and the people. Let's start with the person, so Irenaeus. You have to search here in the epidoc the name and select it. So how do I do it? But it's a normal selection, but you have to pay attention to the epidoc markup because you have to start at the beginning or at the end of a markup and end your selection at the beginning or at the end of a markup. So here it's simple. The beginning, you can just, like it's here, you can just start after the line break markup or the line beginning markup. So Ireneo, Augusti, Liberto, and Procuratore. And here you end after the expand because it's part of the Procuratore because it's an abbreviation. So it means, so this shows you that the person that we have to tag is not just a name, otherwise we would just have tagged Ireneo, but it's a name with all the different uh, elements and titles. So actually here it's Augusti Liberto also, because this the status indication needs to be included in the tag, and in this case also the titles of the function procurator. So actually this is why I end here. Okay, I made my selection and I click on the button, and as you see, it has inserted this markup, this RS markup, type person ref, and so actually it says that here begins a reference to a person that corresponds to this number in our database. And so the RS, you see that the RS markup ends here after the expand. And you see that here immediately the highlighting appeared. So now we can also mark up and tag, so I tag the two places. So I start here with SIB and I end here and I click on this. As you see, there is a place name tag with the reference to the place number in our database that it's added, and it terminates here. It terminates here, sorry. Then we have the Orkenos, and so we add, and to the end we can, okay, we are here, and we can add that. Okay, so as you see, the the place name are also tagged here and highlighted, and here clicking on this symbol will open the place record. Do not forget to save, as you see, because we modified the text, we inserted the tags, so you save. Otherwise, if you click outside, modification are lost. So we save, and then we go back to our document overview, and as you see, we have nicely terminated, finished our job on this particular document. So it's a very short document, but that actually has interesting features. It's quite complex for the places relationship. Of course, we did not tag the imperial state because it's not present in the text, but of course it's linked to the document. We just linked what is present. We just tagged what is present actually on the stone. A few remarks on the way we need to link places and documents. We have seen uh, in the tutorial about the creation of new documents how you actually link different places. Here is just to show you some examples um, of the different way we can describe these relationships, and actually to show you concretely how you have to use them. Normally, many many of the documents we just have a simple provenance indication, but here also you have to be careful. So of course, where um, you what to indicate exactly as a provenance? There are three different ways to indicate a provenance. Um, when the archaeological context is lost, as in this case, we cannot indicate the precise location where the document stood, the monument stood in antiquity. For example, this funerary base has been reused in the Byzantine walls of Perusa. So actually, we do not know where it was before. It was perhaps in a necropolis. It was perhaps in a uh, um, near a house, so we do not know. So actually, this has been reused, so the original context has been lost. We just know that it comes from Prusa. So actually here, as you see, the provenance is therefore simply Prusa. Hmm? So it would be a mistake to put as provenance the Byzantine wall of Prusa, or the exact location of the Byzantine wall where the monument has been found, because this is not the real provenance. It is just the find spot. The real provenance is the place where it stood in antiquity. And so, since the place is not exactly known, we just put this broad Prusa provenance. So actually, you never have to have you never need to insert here modern buildings, or like I don't know, the name of a church where the monument has been reused, the name of a mosque, the name of the walls, any modern name in of this kind should be avoided. Of course, modern places can be indicated uh, um, as we as we did for the document that we created that came from Koenig. Here, for example, it's a boundary stone between Sagalassos and the imperial estate of Tintianassos. Here, this boundary stone, as you see, has these different list of places. This is the provenance, and there are places that are mentioned in text, and there is an imperial estate that is related. But if we remain on the provenance, um, so here you see the provenance is the modern village. So because this document has been taken from its original location that was probably in the fields and has been brought to this village. So actually the ancient context is lost. So here we give the modern place where it was found, but not the modern building. We just need to put the modern address or the village. Mm, this is simply this. It's being reused. It's being walled in the mosque, but we do not need to put as provenance the the mosque. Another example is this milestone. Also, this milestone, also here, has been found in Eidenlach. So the provenance is the modern place because we don't know exactly uh, where, how the place was called in antiquity, but this is more or less in situ. So actually, the Eidenlach, it's really it's not really far from the place where it stood in antiquity. And here you have, of course, this is a milestone. You have here, you see in the text that this is a road between Apamea and Nicaea. And so Apamea and Nicaea are listed as mentioned in text. Here you have a um, another example. You have a column carrying a quarry mark with the name of the procurator Aeneas. So here you see the provenance has been found in Rome in the Ripa Marmorata. So actually, I do not just say Rome generally because here I know that is the Marmorata. So it's a place on the river. There was a storage for marble blocks in antiquity, and so there are many places, many blocks that have been found. So actually, here I know the exact context, ancient context where the document stood, where the monument here or the block here stood. So actually, I do not just write Rome, but I can write Ripa Marmorata because it's not being reused or retransported there in a more modern period. So actually, Ripa Marmorata is the exact provenance. But I know because this column is in Pavonazzetto marble. That Pavonazzetto marble comes from the Bagiacale quarry in Phrygia. And so I added Bagiacale quarry as place of writing and origin. So because the actual object, the actual column, comes from there, and also the column has been inscribed in Bajakale. Mm. So actually, these are a few examples to show that you have more or less three choices when you want to indicate provenance. First, like here, if you know uh, the exact context, you can indicate here the exact context where the document stood in antiquity. You can just write it here. That can be here like Ripa Makurate, but if you know that it stood on the forum of a city, you can write just forum area or area of the theater or in the bath, so the bath of Hadrian, I don't know, or a necropolis, the necropolis outside um, a gate. So actually, you can indicate more precisely where the document, the monument came from. Otherwise, second choice is to have just the ancient city where it comes from. If the if the tradition, so if the context is lost, is not being recorded, or if the the monument has been reused somewhere else within the city, and so we have lost the ancient context. Do not put the modern building or medieval building in as a provenance. And third, it's a modern place. If we don't know how the place was called in antiquity, or if actually has been the stone has been moved to a village, so we need to anyway indicate something. So we just put the modern location where it stays without indicating the building. One last thing is you can add also unpublished documents to the database. For example, here um, there is a unpublished boundary stone between Sagalassos and the imperial estate of Timbranassos. It's actually one of the, 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 the several of them that we have found, but this one has not been published. We know that it looked exactly as the others and so had the same content. So actually, I create a document that has no text, as you see, in which I indicated clearly that this document is unpublished. There is no edition because it's unpublished, but I can put a datation, I can put uh, a provenance because uh, is unpublished, but the provenance is stated. And I can put all the other elements because I know that they are similar, so they are the same than in the other boundary stones of the same type that has been found in the area, and also the same persons. What do I put here? It's the sign, well, it's the indication in this publication of Louis Robert of the document. Louis Robert speaks about having seen this document but did not publish it, but it gives the information about the provenance and more or less about the content. So actually I put it here in general bibliography and not, of course, in editions. I can put keywords, of course, because I know the content and the content is the same than the other boundary stones. So actually I can add boundary disputes and imperial letters because here we have an imperial letter that indicates the resolution of the boundary. Finally, one thing about datation, as uh, we have seen in the first document here, in the funerary base of the Procurator Sextus Pacius Restitutus, the datation is actually quite complex because it's two discrete periods. It's either under Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus, so 161, 169, or Septimius Severus and Caracalla, so 198 to 100, 209. So are two discrete periods. Unfortunately, we cannot insert them as two discrete datation or not yet. So actually, in this case, you just put the lower limit of the two and the upper limit of the two. So this is why it's between 161 and 209, even if we know that it cannot date between, I don't know, in 180. It's impossible that it dates in 181 or 82, for example. Another indication for the for how to write a datation, if we know that a document can be dated to a precise year, we can just put it like here in the natural language datation must just indicate 55 AD or 55 CE, and then the date postquem and date antequem just correspond to 55. So here in the natural language datation, it's useless to write under Claude or under Nero in the year 55 or like during his first premonition power and so on. Just like put the datation and it's okay. If you need to edit your fields, as I said here for textual fields, you just click on that button and then you can change, like for example here, we can add Friedman, procurator, then you validate. Same thing here, if you want to change the nature, you can use here the menu, and then when you have selected what you need, you can validate. If you need to get rid of a bibliographic reference because it's erroneous or because if you didn't put the right number or it's not the valid one, um, you cannot really correct it. So the best thing is that you just remove it and you add it again. So actually you click here on this trash can, and then you select OK in the next prompt, and then the reference has been eliminated, so you can add a new one. For example, you want to add année philologie, année épigraphique. If you write année, and here it is, so you see année, the accent is not taken into consideration, so you can just select it and put the year, just put a random year and comma and a random number, and you can add the reference. Of course, you can have more than one, because of course you can have many different editions. And so you can have the CIL also. Let's put a here also a random number. So what in which order do you have to place the edition? So actually, the first edition that needs to be placed is the one that it's the base of the document that you use. So actually, the edition on which the text is based. This must come first. Then the other edition can be listed in chronological order, as usual. But actually, we don't put um, all the bibliography or the references of the corpora or the editions on the same level as it done, for example, in the Klaus database, where you don't know actually on which one of the edition the text is based. Here we have to say, we have to make clear that the edition we followed is a certain one, and that edition has to come first. The other ones you can list them in the canonical chronological order. Um, the same thing works for the general bibliography. So if you need to remove, you can just click on the trash can and then confirm. The trash can be clicked also to remove links to places and to people, and also to remove the keywords. If you on text annotation you need to change something, you can directly write here in the APDoc. If you need to remove, for example, a tag, you need to manually remove the RS tag here. So you need to select it, you need to remove the opening and the closing tab, the closing markup also. And so here it is. And you can save. What about if you do a mistake? Let's say that here um, you you just eliminate this. If you want to save, so you get prompted with this dialog that says that in on the fifth line there is a problem. What is the problem here? It shows you the actually the place where there is the machine found the problem, and here we know why, because I just, for example, I wanted to remove the tag around the CBDINT place, and I just removed the opening tag, no? And I left here the closing markup, closing tag, the here place name, and so I have to remove this. So you have to reread here, understand, see that all the markups that open close also, like here, for example, the supplied markup here, it's open and it's closed. There is a gap that it's okay. It's a single markup that it's auto closing, and then there is a place name that it's actually an orphan because the opening tag had been removed. So I can actually just get rid of that. And then if I save, I should get no prompt for mistakes. Okay. This is also true if you, for example, let's see that you want to mark up again this place or the name of Irenaeus. Let's try with the name of Irenaeus, and you do, for example, and you select this up to procuratore. So here I did it on purpose. So actually, but can be a casual mistake you can do. Here, I just went to the end of the word procuratore, but not to the end of the markups of expansion. So if I try to mark to tag Irenaeus, I get this prompt selection is not XML compliant. Sometimes you get this, sometimes it doesn't work. Even if it doesn't work, you can just it means that perhaps there is a mistake, but normally you should get, you see, this warning, and so it needs, you need to check again your tag. And so here the mistake is that um, there is a markup that opens and closes here and closes also here the entire expand. So the entire expression is this. So we need to include everything that says that procuratore it's an abbreviated word with, so actually there is this general expand markup, then the actual abbreviated words, the abbreviation is between this ab markup, then the expansion is within this x markup, and then the closing markup for the expand expression. So actually, if you select that you need to start from Ireneo and terminate here with the expand. And so if I click on this, the markup is added without any problem. I can just save my text, and never forget to save your text, otherwise you will lose your editing. Sometimes you get a mistake and you cannot correct it because it's difficult for you. You still do not know the epidoc expression enough, good enough to correct it. In that case, I would just suggest you to not um, just to leave the text aside and just take a comment, put a comment in the private commentary in which you say like check the text again, or insert the text again, and you can just like wait for that, and then we can solve that together. Or if it's a problem that can be solved with an update to the converter, I make sure that we try to solve it as soon as possible.